Ever wondered if you've missed some of Elvis Presley's greatest hidden gems? Are there Elvis tracks that somehow slipped past your radar? Could the King's best work be hiding in plain sight on compilation albums you never bothered to play? Number 15. Tomorrow is a Long Time. Bob Dylan cover. Did you know Elvis covered Bob Dylan? In 1966, while recording for the soundtrack of Spin Out, Elvis laid down a hauntingly beautiful version of Dylan's Tomorrow is a Long Time. The track wasn't even included in the film. Instead, it was tucked away on a compilation called Elvis for Everyone, and later appeared on Spin Out soundtrack albums. Dylan himself reportedly called it the one Elvis recording I treasure the most. This tender acoustic-driven rendition's a side of Elvis rarely seen during his movie years. Recorded during a period when Elvis was churning out soundtrack albums filled with forgettable songs, this track stands out as a moment of artistic clarity. Elvis's voice carries a vulnerability that Dylan fans might not expect from the king of rock and roll. The recording session took place late at night after Elvis had finished his required movie songs. With just a few musicians remaining, he chose to record this personal favorite. The minimal production highlights Elvis's voice in ways the bombastic movie soundtracks often failed to do. Guitar, light percussion, and Elvis's emotional delivery create an intimate atmosphere that makes listeners feel like they're eavesdropping on a private performance. Music critics have pointed to this recording as evidence of what Elvis could have accomplished if he'd been given more artistic freedom during the 1960s. The song remained largely unknown to casual fans for decades, buried on compilation albums, while his movie hits and 1950s classics dominated radio play. Number 14. Stranger in My Own Hometown. Suspicious Minds Sessions. Have you ever felt like a stranger in your hometown? Elvis captured that exact feeling in this bluesy gem from the legendary American Sound Studio sessions that produced Suspicious Minds. Recorded in 1969 during Elvis's creative resurrection, this Percy Mayfield cover somehow didn't make the cut for the From Elvis in Memphis album. Instead, it wound up on later compilations like Back in Memphis and various box sets. The track features Elvis, at his grittiest, delivering raw, emotional vocals that reflect his own complicated relationship with Memphis and fame. The funky arrangement, complete with brass section and gospel-influenced backing vocals, shows Elvis embracing contemporary sounds rather than chasing past glories. Producer Chips Moman pushed Elvis to explore new material during these sessions, resulting in some of the most authentic performances of his career. Stranger in My Own Hometown represents Elvis reclaiming his blues roots after years of movie soundtracks. The lyrics about returning home to find everything changed seemed particularly relevant to Elvis, who had become increasingly isolated in Graceland, despite living in his hometown. Musicians who participated in the American Sound sessions often cite this track as a personal favorite, noting how Elvis seemed particularly invested in the performance. The song builds gradually, with Elvis's voice growing more intense as he describes the feeling of disconnection. By the end, he's practically shouting over the band, unleashing years of frustration through the music. Number 13. I'm Leavin'. 1971. Non-album. Single. Can a flop single contain one of Elvis's most genuine performances? In 1971, RCA released I'm Leavin' as a single, but it barely cracked the top 40 and quickly disappeared from radio. The song, co-written by Michael Jarrett and Sonny Charles, has since gained recognition as one of Elvis's most sensitive vocal performances. This folk-influenced track features delicate guitar work, subtle percussion, and Elvis singing in an unusually restrained manner. The intimate, breathy vocals show a vulnerability rarely heard in his more commercial releases. After its initial failure as a single, I'm Leavin' was relegated to compilation albums, where it remained largely overlooked by casual fans. Elvis reportedly recorded multiple takes of the song, working meticulously to get the nuanced performance he wanted. Rather than belting it out with his trademark power, he chose to sing with a gentle intensity that draws listeners closer. The backing vocalists provide ethereal harmonies that complement the dreamlike quality of the arrangement. Producer Felton Jarvis later recalled that Elvis had a special connection to this song, perhaps relating to its themes of necessary departure and emotional farewells. The early 1970s marked a period when Elvis was struggling with personal challenges, including his deteriorating marriage to Priscilla. The emotion in his voice suggests he found personal meaning in the lyrics. Music historians now point to I'm Leavin' as evidence of Elvis's artistic ambitions beyond commercial success. Listeners been more receptive to the softer, more introspective Elvis. His career might have taken a different direction in the 1970s. Number 12. Reconsider Baby, Elvis is Back, Sessions. Did Elvis ever truly return to his blues roots? In April 1960, fresh out of the Army, Elvis recorded a blistering version of Lowell Fulson's Reconsider Baby for his comeback album, Elvis is Back. While the album contained hits like It's Now or Never, this raw blues track showcased a mature Elvis embracing his musical foundations. The recording features a scorching saxophone solo by Boots Randolph and Elvis delivering one of his most authentic blues performances. The single-take recording captures the energy of Elvis and his band playing together in the studio, creating a spontaneous feel rarely found in his more polished productions. Despite being included on Elvis is Back, the song was overshadowed by the album's pop hits and never received significant radio play. Later it appeared on various blues-themed compilations, but remained unknown to fans who didn't dig deep into Elvis's catalog. Music critics have since pointed to this track as evidence that Elvis remained connected to his blues influences even at the height of his mainstream popularity. The session musicians reportedly were surprised by Elvis's command of the blues idiom, as he directed the band through the arrangement with confidence. His vocal approach on Reconsider Baby differs significantly from his pop recordings, as he lets loose with a grittier, more improvisational style reminiscent of the blues artists he admired growing up. Elvis biographer Peter Guralnick has pointed to this recording as one of the most authentic examples of Elvis's musical roots, showing what might have been possible had he pursued more blues-oriented material throughout his career. Number 11. Long Black Limousine, American Sound Sessions. Have you ever heard Elvis sing about the dark side of fame? Long Black Limousine tells the story of someone who left home seeking stardom only to return in a hearse. Recorded during the 1969 American Sound studio sessions, this haunting track appeared on From Elvis in Memphis, but was overshadowed by hits like In the Ghetto. The song's tragic narrative about the hollow promise of fame carried special resonance coming from Elvis, who understood the subject better than most. His interpretation transforms this country song into a soulful meditation on the costs of celebrity. The arrangement builds dramatically with Elvis's voice, conveying increasing emotional intensity as the story unfolds. Originally written by Vern Stovall and Bobby George, the song had been recorded by country artists before Elvis tackled it. However, Elvis's version, with its Memphis soul influence and powerful vocal performance, reimagined the song completely. The backing musicians from American Sound Studio provided a sophisticated arrangement that balanced country gospel and R&B elements. Music critics have noted how Elvis's reading of the lyrics suggests personal identification with the story. Just as he did with In the Ghetto, Elvis demonstrated his gift for narrative interpretation, making listeners feel the tragedy described in the lyrics. The mournful horn section and gospel-influenced backing vocals enhance the funeral atmosphere of the recording. Despite being included on a successful album, Long Black Limousine never became a staple of Elvis compilation albums, which tended to focus on his more upbeat material. This oversight has left many fans unaware of this powerful performance. Number 10. If I Can Dream. 1968. Comeback Special Finale. Can a single song redefine a career? If I Can Dream emerged as the emotional climax of Elvis's 1968 comeback special, recorded just months after Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination. This passionate plea for tolerance and understanding represented a bold artistic statement from Elvis, who rarely recorded songs with social messages. While the song reached pound 12 on the Billboard charts, its cultural significance far exceeds its commercial success. Written by W. Earl Brown specifically for Elvis to close the television special, the song's message of hope amid social turmoil resonated deeply with audiences in 1968. Elvis delivered one of his most committed vocal performances, building from a gentle beginning to an emotional crescendo. Despite being a pivotal moment in Elvis's career resurrection, If I Can Dream sometimes gets lost among discussions of his 1950s hits or his later Vegas period. The song appeared on various compilation albums, but wasn't always included alongside his more familiar hits. The arrangement combines elements of gospel, soul, and pop music with a large orchestral backing that supports rather than overwhelms Elvis's voice. Producer Steve Binder later revealed that Elvis was initially uncertain about recording such a direct message song as it departed from his usual material. However, after rehearsing it, Elvis became deeply invested in the performance, seeing it as an opportunity to express his personal values through music. The television performance, with Elvis dressed in a white suit, has become iconic, though the studio version captures an even more nuanced vocal. Music historians often cite If I Can Dream as the beginning of Elvis's artistic rebirth, leading directly to the acclaimed Memphis sessions the following year. Number 9. It Hurts Me. 1964 B-side. Is Elvis's most soulful 1960s performance hiding on a forgotten B-side? It Hurts Me, written by Joy Byers and Charlie Daniels, was recorded by Elvis in 1964 and released as the B-side to Kissin' Cousins. This passionate ballad showcases Elvis at his vocal best during a period otherwise dominated by lightweight movie songs. The dramatic arrangement frames Elvis's voice perfectly as he tells the story of a man watching the woman he loves being mistreated by another. His delivery escalates throughout the song, culminating in a powerful display of vocal control and emotional intensity. Despite Elvis's compelling performance, the song received little attention as the flip side of a movie tie-in single. It Hurts Me later appeared on various compilation albums, but remained largely unknown to casual fans. Elvis himself reportedly considered it one of his better recordings from this period, and he revisited the song during his 1968 comeback special sessions, though that version wasn't broadcast. The studio recording features excellent backing vocals and a tight rhythm section, elevating it above many of Elvis's soundtrack recordings from the same era. Producer Felton Jarvis later pointed to It Hurts Me as evidence that Elvis could still deliver powerful performances during the movie years when given appropriate material. Music critics have since identified this track as a stunique from Elvis's mid-1960s work, representing a road not taken during a period when his artistic choices were severely limited by his movie contracts. Number 8. Just Pretend. That's the Way It Is Sessions. Have you heard Elvis sing with the maturity that only comes with life experience? In 1970, while rehearsing for his Las Vegas shows documented in the film That's the Way It Is, Elvis recorded Just Pretend in a sophisticated ballad that showcases his growing interpretive abilities. The song appeared on the That's the Way It Is album but wasn't featured prominently in the documentary film. As a result, it's often overlooked compared to better-known performances from this era, like Suspicious Minds or The Wonder of You. The lush orchestral arrangement complements Elvis's nuanced vocal performance, which conveys both vulnerability and strength. Just Pretend represents Elvis embracing adult contemporary sounds while maintaining his emotional authenticity. The song's themes of maintaining hope in a relationship despite evidence of its demise possibly resonated with Elvis during this period of his life, as his marriage to Priscilla was becoming strained. The studio recording features the expanded lineup Elvis was working with during this period, including the core TCB band, backing vocalists, the Sweet Inspirations and the Imperials, and a full orchestra. This combination created a rich sonic palette that supported Elvis's maturing voice without overwhelming it. Music critics have pointed to this track as evidence of Elvis's artistic growth during the early Vegas years before health issues began affecting his performances. The song demonstrates how Elvis could use his voice as an instrument of subtle expression rather than relying solely on power. Number 7. Pieces of My Life. Today Sessions. Can Elvis make you cry with a song about regret? In 1975, while recording the Today album, Elvis delivered a devastatingly honest performance of Pieces of My Life, a country-tinged reflection on past mistakes and lost opportunities. Written by Troy Seals, the song seemed to speak directly to Elvis's personal situation as his health declined and his career stalled. The recording features a relatively sparse arrangement by Elvis's standards, with piano and steel guitar prominent in the mix. This musical restraint allows listeners to focus on Elvis's voice, which carries the weight of genuine emotion. Despite its artistic merit, the song was buried on the second side of the Today album and rarely appeared on compilations focusing on his 1970s work. Musicians present at the session later recalled the emotional atmosphere in the studio when Elvis recorded this track. By 1975, Elvis was dealing with numerous health problems and personal challenges, which perhaps explains the authentic world weariness in his performance. The autobiographical nature of lines, like the Pieces of My Life are scattered everywhere, was not lost on those who knew his situation. Pieces of My Life represents one of Elvis's last truly vulnerable studio performances before his death in 1977. While his final studio album, Moody Blue, contained some strong material. This earlier recording captures Elvis still fully in command of his interpretive powers while confronting difficult emotions. Music historian Ernst Jorgensen has highlighted this track as evidence that Elvis remained capable of artistic excellence even during his troubled final years, particularly when presented with material that allowed him to express genuine feelings. Number 6. Any Day Now, Memphis Sessions. Do you know Elvis could deliver soul as authentic as any Stax artist? During the 1969 American Sound studio sessions in Memphis, Elvis recorded a stunning version of Chuck Jackson's soul hit, Any Day Now. The track appeared on From Elvis in Memphis, but wasn't released as a single, causing it to be overshadowed by hits from the same sessions. The arrangement changes the perfect marriage of Elvis's voice with the soulful backing of the Memphis musicians. His restrained verses build to emotionally charged choruses, demonstrating his masterful control of dynamics. The backing vocalists provide perfect support, creating a sound that blends R&B, country, and pop elements into something uniquely Elvis. Producer Chips Moman, known for his work with soul artists, reportedly pushed Elvis to dig deeper emotionally on this track. The result is a performance that stands alongside the work of soul greats like Ray Charles or Solomon Burke, proving Elvis's ability to transcend musical categories when working with sympathetic producers and musicians. The string arrangement adds drama without veering into sentimentality, complementing rather than competing with Elvis's voice. The Memphis Rhythm Section, featuring bassist Tommy Cogbill and drummer Gene Chrisman, provides a solid foundation that allows Elvis to explore the song's emotional contours. Despite critical acclaim for the From Elvis in Memphis album, Any Day Now received little attention compared to singles like In the Ghetto and Suspicious Minds. Its appearance on various compilation albums over the years hasn't elevated it to the status of an Elvis classic, leaving many fans unaware of this soulful gem. Number 5. Trying to Get to You, Sun Records Sessions. Did Elvis's earliest recordings contain his rawest emotion? In 1955, Elvis recorded Trying to Get to You at Sun Records with his original band featuring Scotty Moore and Bill Black. This passionate performance captures the young Elvis at his most uninhibited, blending country rhythm and blues and early rock and roll influences into something entirely new. The song was written by Rosemary McCoy and Charles Singleton, originally recorded by the Eagles, not the 1970s band. Elvis's version transforms the R&B original into a rockabilly tour de force. His vocal swoops from tender to fierce, trotting the remarkable range and expressiveness that would soon make him a global phenomenon. Despite being recorded during Elvis's legendary Sun sessions, Trying to Get to You wasn't released as a single at the time. It later appeared on his first RCA album in 1956, but was overshadowed by hits like Blue Suede Shoes. Over the years it appeared on various compilations but rarely received the attention given to Sun classics like That's All Right or Mystery Train. Elvis revisited the song during his 1968 comeback special, delivering a performance of such intensity that it became one of the highlights of the show. This later version demonstrated his enduring connection to his musical roots and his ability to recapture the raw energy of his earliest recordings. Sun Records producer Sam Phillips reportedly considered Trying to Get to You one of Elvis's most impressive recordings, capturing the emotional directness that made his early work so revolutionary. Number 4. You Don't Have to Say You Love Me. 1970. Single. Can a cover song reveal Elvis's deepest emotions? In 1970, Elvis recorded a dramatic version of Dusty Springfield's hit, "You Don't Have to Say You Love Me." Released as a single, it reached pound 11 on the Billboard charts, but has since been somewhat neglected on career-spanning compilations. The grandeur of the arrangement, complete with soaring strings and dramatic pauses, perfectly frames Elvis's passionate interpretation. He transforms the pop song into a tour de force of emotional vulnerability, building from restrained verses to a powerful chorus, where he unleashes the full range of his voice. The Italian-influenced melody allowed Elvis to indulge his love of dramatic ballads in the tradition of "It's Now or Never." Elvis reportedly connected deeply with the song's message about accepting love on any terms offered, perhaps reflecting his own complicated romantic relationships. His interpretation adds layers of meaning to the lyrics through subtle vocal inflections and strategic use of his famous vibrato. The recording features the expanded sound Elvis was working with during this period, including his core TCB band, the Imperials, and the Sweet Inspirations on backing vocals and full orchestration. This combination created a lush backdrop for one of Elvis's most emotionally direct performances of the 1970s. Despite its initial success, "You Don't Have to Say You Love Me" has been somewhat overlooked in discussions of Elvis's best 1970s work. The song's theatrical quality may have caused it to fall out of favor as musical tastes changed, but it represents Elvis embracing dramatic pop balladry with complete conviction. Number 3, Tomorrow Night, Elvis Country Sessions. Did you know Elvis could transform a 1940s blues ballad into a country masterpiece? During the 1971 sessions for Elvis Country, he recorded a stunning version of "Tomorrow Night," a song originally popularized by Lonnie Johnson in 1948. This track demonstrates Elvis's encyclopedic knowledge of American music and his ability to make any song his own. The arrangement strips the song down to its essence, featuring acoustic guitar, piano, and minimal percussion. Elvis sings with remarkable restraint, allowing the melody and lyrics to take center stage. His voice carries a warmth and intimacy rarely captured on his more commercial recordings. Despite the artistic success of this performance, "Tomorrow Night" wasn't included on the original Elvis Country album. It appeared later on, Love Letters from Elvis, and subsequent compilation albums, where it remained hidden from fans who didn't explore beyond Elvis's hit singles. The session musicians reportedly were impressed by Elvis's familiarity with this obscure song, which further demonstrated his deep musical roots. Producer Felton Jarvis created a sympathetic setting for the performance, with enough space for Elvis's voice to shine without excessive production elements. Music critics have pointed to this track as evidence of Elvis's ability to bridge musical genres, bringing together elements of blues, country, and pop in a seamless performance. The recording represents Elvis at his most authentic, connecting to the music that influenced him from childhood. Number 2, How the Web Was Woven. That's the Way It Is Sessions. Have you heard Elvis sing with the sensitivity of a folk artist? In 1970, during the sessions for That's the Way It Is, Elvis recorded How the Web Was Woven, a song written by English composers David Most and Alan Morris. This folk-influenced ballad showcases a gentler side of Elvis that casual fans might not recognize. The arrangement features finger-picked acoustic guitar, subtle strings, and restrained percussion, creating an intimate atmosphere that highlights Elvis's nuanced vocal performance. He sings with remarkable control, never overpowering the delicate backing track while still conveying deep emotion. Though included on the That's the Way It Is album, the song wasn't featured in the documentary film and received little attention compared to more familiar tracks from the same sessions. Its subsequent appearances on compilation albums didn't elevate its status among Elvis's better-known recordings. The musicians who played on the session later commented on Elvis's connection to this material, which represented a departure from his usual repertoire. His interpretation brings authenticity to lyrics about romantic deception and emotional entanglement, subjects that resonated with his personal experiences. Music historians have suggested that this recording points to a direction Elvis might have explored further, had he been given more artistic freedom. The song's folk influences connect to the era's singer-jocker movement, demonstrating Elvis's awareness of contemporary musical trends beyond his usual territory. Number 1. For the Good Times, recorded at Graceland. Are Elvis's most intimate recordings the ones he made at home? In February 1976, Elvis recorded several songs in the jungle room at Graceland, including a heartfelt version of Kris Kristofferson's For the Good Times. This country standard became a vehicle for one of Elvis's most emotionally transparent performances. The informal recording setting seems to have liberated Elvis from the pressures of commercial expectations. His voice carries the weight of life experience, perfectly suited to the song's themes of bittersweet parting and cherished memories. The sparse arrangement, featuring acoustic guitars and subtle keyboards, provides just enough support for Elvis's expressive vocals. Producer Felton Jarvis later added orchestration to these recordings, but the focus remains squarely on Elvis's voice. Despite being released on the From Elvis Presley Boulevard, Memphis, Tennessee album in 1976, this track hasn't received the attention given to earlier hits, even among serious Elvis fans. Musicians present at the session noted that Elvis seemed particularly invested in this song, perhaps finding personal meaning in its lyrics about the end of a relationship. By 1976, Elvis was dealing with numerous personal challenges, including his divorce from Priscilla and declining health, which may explain the authentic melancholy in his performance. While Elvis's final years are often associated with declining vocal ability, For the Good Times demonstrates that he remained capable of sensitive, nuanced performances when engaged with material that spoke to him personally. The recording captures an aging Elvis coming to terms with his past through song. What other hidden Elvis treasures might be waiting for rediscovery on forgotten compilation albums? Is the real Elvis Presley, the artist behind the icon, still hidden in plain sight on recordings most fans have never heard?